right, hello everyone. So today what we're going to do, we're going to go through animating the bouncing ball. So a couple things first. You're going to want to make sure your workspace is on general for right now before we move into the animation workspace. And, and yeah, so first things first, set your project, create your project folder. So File, Project Window. I'm going to click on New. And this new tutorial will be tutorial 5. So last name, first name, tutorial 5. Be mindful where you're saving things. I'm going to save everything to... Oh wait, I didn't hit new. Let's try that again. Let me hit cancel. File, take 2. File, project window, new. There we go. Last name, first name, tutorial 5. And then I'm just going to make sure I'm in my desktop here. So I'm going to go here, look for my desktop. There we go. And I'll hit select and I'll hit accept. Once I do that, I'm going to add a sphere. Go to poly modeling, click on the sphere, and uh, so the goal of this is to not set keyframes on this geometry. So we looked at last week, or last class, I mean, we looked at how uh, for more complex items in studios, you actually have to animate on handles or controls, or I showed you examples of what the GUI picker looks like, and that's a little bit more advanced, a lot more advanced in terms of creating and setting up. But the simplest way as far as animating is to use a NURBS curve, and that is going to be the control similar to a marionette and how the handles, the crisscross handles, help guide the puppet in puppeteering. So in this case, our control is that puppeteering handle. So the NURBS circle. The polymodel, the sphere here that we have on the screen, that's our child. So we're going to have this parent-child relationship where parent, oh, you know what? Stop. Let's type it out. So we have the parent, and then we have the child. This is the child, the sphere. When I click on curves and surfaces, and I click and add a NURBS circle, I'm going to drag this out. This will be the parent, this circle here. So notice that it's kind of looking like one thin ring of Saturn. So this is going to be where we set keyframes on. And so we set the keyframes on here, and it guides this sphere and directs the sphere where it needs to go. So we need to set up the rig in order to do that. Let's clear all this. Okay. So first things first, I'm going to scale out my control, which is the NURBS circle. I'm going to make this ball control and rename it in the outliner. Same thing with the sphere. I'm going to rename it. You want to be in the habit of renaming your items. So this is ball geo. I'll just rename it like that. And so with that, let's look at our channel box and let's look at the control. You'll notice the scale has been manipulated for this control. The thing is, we want our controls to be reset. So we want to maintain the values and the size that we scaled out for this control, but we want our values to be reset. And reason being is you want, when you make a rig, regardless of how complex it is, you want the values to be at a neutral pose, so that way you're not adding on too many numbers. And later on, when you end up working on something like a cycle where things are looping, you want things zeroed out, or for scale, you want them defaulted out. so that way it makes the math easier to loop. So to do that, to maintain what we see on the screen but still reset the values, we want to drag these values in the channel box with the control selected, so that circle, not the sphere. So highlight the words, translate X to scale Z, hold down your right mouse button, and you're going to go to the word freeze, and then freeze all. So freeze, notice that the size did not change on the screen. However, the numeric values for scale have been reset to 1, which is the default value for scale, because if it were 0, well, it would disappear. So now that I have this and my sphere is already reset, it's already at a default value, now I can tell Maya to parent this, make this control the parent, and make the sphere the child. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a constraint. A constraint links certain channels of the child, and they're going to be dictated by different channels of the parent. So in this case, if I go to rigging, right here where my mouse is the parent constraint. It's going to look like this, right? It's this icon, right, with the little chain link. So my parent constraint tells us whatever translation, so I can translate, so moving up, down, all of that, all of those directions of the control will dictate the movement of the sphere, as well as any rotations from the control will dictate the rotations of the sphere. This is the main one we will be using, and this is like a main constraint that a lot of animators use and a lot of rigging artists use. So let's clear this out. Oh, you can see it and all that fun stuff. Okay, so next, to do that, it's important you select the parent first. Let's da, 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 da. You select the parent first. Select the sphere, the child, second. Oh, yeah, yeah. So the circle first, which is the parent. Do, 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 do. Then shift select the sphere, which is the child. So I'm going to select this control. It's already selected because it's highlighted green. Hold down the shift key, select the sphere, and you're going to click on parent constraint. Now that's set up. Perfect. Let's go. I'm going to go ahead and add a cube. I'm going to scale the cube. This is going to be our floor. Whoa, not that far. I'm going to scale it down. Okay. I might scale it up actually. And then I'm going to grab the green square, which will scale on blue on the z-axis and the x-axis without scaling on y. I'm going to bring it down. All right. Perfect. Actually, let's scale it a little bit more that way. Perfect. All right. So next, this is a good time to increment and save your scene. So file, increment and save your scene. Give it a name because this is the first save run through that I'm doing here. Tutorial 5. Perfect. All right. So with that, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to hide this blue pencil here, and I'm going to go to my orthographic camera. I'm specifically going to go to the side camera. I'm going to scale this a little bit more just in case, so that way when I set up my camera, I don't have to adjust this. I'm going to zoom in, and now rename your cube ground geo. And I'm going to lock everything here because I'm not animating this. So I'm going to drag select all these values, lock, hold down your right mouse button and select lock selected. All right, now that that's done, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to turn on my resolution gate. All right, it's good. And I'm also, and you can always double check, right? If you move your control, the ball should move. Do not select the geometry. So once you are satisfied with the parent and the parenting of the control to the sphere, uh, and you're satisfied with the placement of the ground, right here where my mouse is, you'll see this four square plane. This is going to deselect any geometry and make it not selectable. So when I click here, I'm not accidentally clicking on my geometry. So now I can just click on the control and not make that mistake. Okay, once I've done that, now I need to have my image sequence. It's really important to have reference, as we looked at last week and the lecture prior, uh, our most recent lecture, just the importance of, especially for acting, even now starting out, really look at reference and seeing how things are moving. So I'm going to minimize this. I do have the image sequence that I downloaded from the Canvas assignment page. I'm going to double click on it to extract it and uncompress that file. I'm going to go to my tutorial 5 folder. I'm going to click in here and I'm going to drag this image sequence into source images. And I'm going to minimize this. All right, so next, I'm going to go here. Now I'm going to bring in that image sequence into my camera. And again, I'm keeping my orthographic camera because I want to animate on just a few simple axes to start out with animating. So I'm going to go to View. I'm going to click on Image Plane. I'm going to click on Import Image. I'm going to go inside Image Sequence, and I'm going to click on the first, for some reason my thing is ordered. There we go. I'm going to click on the first ball bounce image. I'll click on Open. There it is. I'm going to move it up. Place it where I can still see it. And then I might scale it just so it's not taking up so much space. Okay. And next, I'm going to go to the attribute editor here. If you can't find it, if it's hidden, you can go to Windows, General Editors, Attribute Editor, and it should pop up. And with the image plane selected, I'm going to go to the Attribute Editor, and right here, right below where it says Image Name, where my mouse is, you're going to click on and check on Use Image Sequence. So I have that checked on, so now you'll notice it's loading in the timeline. And now, what? I know. Crazy, am I right? Okay. All right. So now, as you kids say, we are cooking, right? Okay. Anywho, oh boy. Ah, sorry. I was taking a sip of coffee. All right. So this is a good point. I'm gonna pause the recording. I'm also gonna lock my image sequence. Actually, let me do that, just so that way my channel box. Uh, let's see. I'm just gonna lock these items. Minus visibility. Let me not do that. Right there. And just lock selected. Alright. Why aren't you not showing me? Oh, what if I... There we go. For some reason. So I had to deselect the plane and then select it again to get to my image plane. So I'm just gonna lock all of these. And it's fine if you want to lock the shapes below. It should be fine. So now I can still, if I select it, I can still hide it if need be. But I can't move it in any way. All right. So this is a good time to increment and save your scene. I'm going to stop the recording and I'll make a new recording for um, animating. Okay? Okay. Good talk. All right. Take care, guys.